Just remember, lovers never lose, 'cause they are free of thoughts unpure and of thoughts unkind. Gentleness clears the soul. Love will clean your mind and make you a body.
It's Warhol actually. Hole. It's hole. As in holes. Huh? Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol. Like hole.
Like to take a cement fix, bigger standings in the mall. Dress my friends up just for show, see them as they really are. But the people in my brain, too new tends to have a go. Like to be a Gaga beach, put you all inside my show. Andy Warhol looks a scream, hang him on my wall. Andy Warhol, silver screen, can't tell them apart at all. Andy walking, Andy tired, Andy take a little snooze. Tie him up when he fast asleep, send him on a pleasant cruise. When you wake up on the sea, you sure to think of me and you. To think about paint and to think about glue, what a jolly boring thing to do. Andy Warhol looks a scream, hang him on my wall. Andy Warhol, silver screen, can't tell them apart at all. Andy Warhol looks a scream, hang him on my wall. Andy Warhol, silver screen, can't tell them apart at all.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, our meeting is going to begin, like really soon, 2 more minutes. So what a great idea to get your lunch, get your cookies, and get your seat. I call this meeting to order. You can mingle around the cookie table a little longer if you like. My gosh, can you believe it's like almost Christmas? 14 shopping days left. The year is just flying by. Hey, Joe, what do you want for Christmas?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I really don't know.
Let me see your front teeth.
Huh?
Let me see your front teeth.
Couple two. There you go. There you go. Well, welcome to Oakland Rotary number 3, the third oldest Rotary Club in the world. I'm Joe Goralka, President, retired CPA and CFO from East Bay Restaurant Supply, and you can call me Coach Joe. Around the world, there are more than 45,000 Rotary clubs with 1.2 million Rotarians in over 200 countries. Most cities you can name have a Rotary Club. We have both local and global impact. We gather today and weekly as business and community leaders to make a difference in the world and to make a difference right here in Oakland, to support each other and to support each other's businesses, and of course for fellowship and fun. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Joe.
So now I'd like to welcome any visiting Rotarians. I see one in the house. Martha, would you stand? Martha Goralka is the charter president of the Delta Antioch Club, and my better half.
I love you.
She's talking to me, but I appreciate it very much. You're just a regular guest, a regular.
Do we have any other visiting Rotarians? How about guests of Rotarians? Marlon?
Yes, President Joe.
I'm sorry, President Joe, can we talk about this fit? Look at my man here.
He's styling.
He's putting us all to shame. Does he not understand? It's just a regular Thursday. You can't be pulling out the fineries on a Thursday. All right, hold on.
President Joe, I have a guest today who is also a potential member, Christine Williams. She's with, she's got a consulting company, and She is, as I said, a potential member, and when she becomes a member, she is going to be great.
Welcome. I see Julian Lowe standing. Welcome, Julian. Good to have you in the house.
I have a mic. And Ralph, let me know. Don't hold it as a
Here you go.
cream cone. Hold it up. Good afternoon, President Joe, fellow Rotarians and guests. I am honored today to welcome Joe Jauko, who is a financial advisor with Schwab, and he is here as my guest from our beloved John Dolby. So please give him a warm welcome and tell him all the great things about Rotary.
Welcome. Do we have any other guests? Looks like we have them all covered. I want to acknowledge Robert Kidd, who came from miles and miles to have some cookies and share some fellowship with us. Past President Robert Kidd, it's nice to have you in the house.
I came here today. I came here today to, for the purpose of voting. I figured my one vote might be just what's necessary to push our candidate over the top. So, good, well done.
And I'd also like to acknowledge Michael Valva. Michael?
Valva,
Valva?
you want to say something? You want to say something to the people?
Michael drove a few miles.
You want to say
be
something to
with
the
us.
people? Okay, he wants to say he's here, everybody. We already found that out. All right.
Thank you for being with us. And now I want to call up Nuno Mike Ferrari, owner of Style and Bath Kitchen. Bring a little style to your home with Style Bath and Kitchen. Nuno is going to give us a thought for the day. Thank you, Nuno.
Thank you, Joe. Hello, fellow Rotarians. So on this day in history, in 1946, the UN established UNICEF to provide for children and women affected by World War II. And in keeping in that era, today's thought of the day or quote of the day comes from Sir Winston Churchill, who said, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give."
Nice. And this is the season for giving. Oh, Julie, nice to see you. Now I'd like to call up Julie Fox, retired principal and founder of Safeguard Business Systems by Julie Fox, a commercial printing, logo design, and layout, plus office and promotional products business. Julie's back from a trip to Italy.
Good afternoon, President, Coach Joe, fellow Rotarians and guests. Yes, recently my husband and I went to Italy again this year, and we had the opportunity to go to several Rotary clubs meetings. And one of them was in Venice, and I have that flag here for the club for President Joe. There you go.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
I only took one flag with me, not knowing, well, we didn't have any more. That's that one. It's a lovely one. And then I also went to, we stayed in the Veneto area in Verona this time, the city of Verona. And so I went to this particular club, and that's the one called Verona East in Italian. And you can see that it has a Colosseum here, okay? And that's that one. And then this one was probably the most special. This one is, again, in Verona. It's called San Michael, or St. Michael, the Archangel Michael. And in this particular club, there were 11 presidents, club presidents from Verona. That's how big it is. And it was a big, big meeting. They had a priest there that was, it was kind of like our Catholic Charities. It was a great meeting. There were 11 presidents. They were very nice to us. They had us for dinner at a lovely hotel. And they were happy to meet somebody from the United States. So it was wonderful to represent our club there. And they gave me a flag as well. So we traded flags. So, yes.
Awesome.
Thank you. Was that a minute?
Yeah, you did perfect. Julie, if you wouldn't mind staying up here, I have something special I want to give you. But I want to remind everybody when you travel, one of the fun things to do when you're a Rotarian, as I said in the beginning, there's a Rotary Club in just about any city you can name.
And one of the fun things you can do is make up at a Rotary Club, and they'll tell you where to go and what to do, and trust me, you will not be disappointed, as I think Julie was letting us know. She had a grand time making up at 3 Rotary Clubs. So Julie, in recognition of your service above self efforts and weekly providing our meal to our meetings, both in selection, presentation, collecting payment, and making sure we break even, and for arranging greeters, and for assisting Jesse with logistics, and all with a smile and charm that our members look forward to. I present you a Rotary on the Run medal. Thank you, Julie. Congratulations, Julie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can make it all right? Now we have some club formalities to take care of. Today we conduct an important Rotary Club business. Our Constitution and bylaws provide that an election of president-elect nominee and members of the Board of Directors, along with a mid-year report and a financial report, shall take place on a Thursday in December. That's this Thursday. I now call to order the annual meeting of the Rotary Club of Oakland number 3. Secretary Michael Bruck, do we have a quorum? Very good, very good, very good. So as Coach Joe, I'm going to call up President Joe to give that mid-year report. But first I want to say how honored I am to coach this incredibly talented team this season, with many superstars who stepped up as team players in those 4th and long key situations. My mid-year report is Oakland Rotary number 3 is on the run, racking up wins on multiple fields of play. We are on track for a record-breaking winning season. And here are some stats. We have formed 4 new Interact clubs. We have formed a Rotaract club. Our Enterprise Institute has more student applications than spots to fill. The district speech contest is coming back. We hosted an exchange students with Fukuoka, Japan. We provide professionals for many high school career days. We will award multiple scholarships with mentors. Both our Community Service Committee and World Service Committees have received more grants than we can possibly fund. Must be our reputation. What was the committee's response? Their response was to develop a process to prioritize grants with the greatest impact. We received a district grant to refurbish Play Island at Children's Fairyland. We had an excellent business development mixer, one more to come in March. We're hoping to do it jointly with the Chambers of Commerce in our club. We had 10 club meeting sponsors and more to come. We pivoted our food insecurity efforts to a Meals on Wheels meal packaging assembly line. Hands-on service projects are on the calendar. St. Vincent de Paul, food bank, and we're going to have a picnic at our barrier-free park. We partnered with Parks and Recs Foundation to plant trees that the city paid for. More projects like that to come. We participated in the 4th of July parade. We were very well noticed in the community. And we won Best New Entry. The trophy is that silly spoon trophy over here, or remarkable spoon trophy over here. We also won Best Rotary Team in the Delta Antioch Rotary Cornhole Tournament. Both come with traveling trophies. What's it called again? It says there. The Highland Spoon Award. It's a very coveted award. Feed the Hungry donations are up 16% year over year. The Rotary Foundation donations are already 80% of our goal, with almost a month still to go in the campaign. ORE Gala and the campaign have already set a date, location, and I've already set a date and confirmed a location, and our theme has been chosen. Many thanks to Carrie Hamill. I got 4 more pages. We surveyed the membership. The vast majority are pleased with the club and our direction. Our DEI committee studied the comments and made 4 insightful recommendations. Our board of directors, based on that, formed 3 task forces to discuss, and it will lead to a strategic planning session with my general manager Merlin's guidance. We refreshed our website. Our social media metrics are growing. New member receptions are back. We had a very interactive one with one more to come in May. We developed a Rotary Mode map for new members. The photo meeting had 128 members attend. We inducted 19 new members to date, plus we have 4 scheduled for a total of 23 new members. Membership has grown from 243 to 252, and with the 4 scheduled, that gets us to 256. There's a catch. This is before the December 31st adjustment for any past dues. I call it the enforcement cap. In summary, though, membership is trending the right direction, and we're going to push hard in the second half. We had exceptionally talented and gifted speakers, from Patty Poppy, CEO at PG&E, to Brother Guy, the Pope's astronomer. We also had exceptional offsites, from a behind-the-scenes tour at the Oakland airport to Children's Fairyland 75th anniversary, and to a future Golfari trip at the Oakland Zoo. We've been out in the community. And finally, after 40 years, we may be playing in a new stadium come next year. One big stat to keep in mind: Oakland Rotary provides in excess of $450,000 annually to fund projects that improve lives. 1/3 internationally, 2/3 in our community, the vast majority right here in Oakland. Can you believe we do all this in just 6 months? Give yourself a big hand. You made it happen. Thank you. Thank you for your support. 2 years ago, we signed a well-known, well-connected native son, Merlin Edwards, to be our general manager, who will be president next year. We are also in the process of signing a proven winning manager, Carrie Hamill. We might even close that deal later today. With these legacy leaders on the team, I project a 3-peat championship seasons. Oakland Rotary is on the run. Thank you all. And give yourself a hand. And now I'd like to bring up our amazing treasurer, Pam Clausen. Pam is a retired CFO. Pam is a retired CFO from Human Good. And Pam is here to give us a mid-year financial report. Thank you, Pam.
Thank you, President Joe. I'm pleased to report that as of November 30th, for the club. We have $82,000 in the bank without any advances for administrative costs from our grant-making entity, the Oakland Rotary Endowment. This is an improvement in our club's cash position of about $50,000 from this time last year, largely as a result of moving to annual billing for dues. As a refresher, the annual break-even budget this year for our club is $281,000, an average of about $23,400 per month. About 1/3 of that budget pays our staff, 1/6 covers our district and RI dues, 1/6 covers the ballroom and office rent, with the final third covering office expenses, membership development, credit card and bank fees, and a small president's budget. The revenues to cover those expenses come from dues of about $190,000, administrative support from Oakland Rotary Endowment of $76,000, with the balance coming from initiation fees and meeting sponsorships. All of these revenues are in line or favorable to budget year to date. We are delighted that 54 members paid their full year's dues immediately on invoicing in June of 2025. In addition, we have 38 members so far that have chosen the monthly option. While we have continued to receive payments for the last 5 months, thank you, there are still 61 of our roughly 250 plus members that are now delinquent on their dues, totaling over $47,000. Much better than prior years, but still a work in process. Your club board has been reaching out to these members to encourage bringing accounts current. We are happy to move these members to monthly payments for any interested. Our biggest upcoming expense is about $25,000 due in January for our semi-annual district and RI dues based on the roster of active members at December 31st. That's why we really evaluate that member roster at the end of the year. The financial records for the year ended June 30, 25 are now in the hands of the auditors, and we have received a preliminary draft. We are hopeful that both the financial reports and tax returns will be issued by early February. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Jesse or me with any questions you may have on the club's financials. We both appreciate your support in keeping the club on a favorable financial footing. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you for cleaning up our books and helping us keep them clean going forward. So we have one more item of business, and that's to elect 3 new directors and our president for the 27-28 year. Past President Tom Malone delivered the report of the nominating committee on December 4th. The nominees for membership, the nominees for members of the board of directors for a 3-year term, starting July 1, 2026, are Patricia Williams. She had a work commitment, let me know she couldn't be here, but she wishes she could. Greg Knight, would you stand for a minute, Greg? And Ed Braille, would you stand for a minute? The nominee for president-elect for a 1-year term commencing July 1, 2027 is Carrie Hamill. Carrie, would you stand? Thank you, Carrie. Are there any nominations for the floor? And Peter, are there any nominations from the Zoom audience? Hearing none. Didn't I? Oh, I thought he did. If I didn't mention, my apologies, Ed. One of the 3 members nominated for director is Ed Braille. Ed, if you'd stand one more time. Ed's bailed me out of some really tight jams. Sorry for that one, Ed. So are there any nominations from the floor? And Peter, are there any? I guess the nominations are closed. And we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor of electing Patricia Wells, Greg Knight, Ed Braille as directors, please say aye. Aye. And those online, put aye into the Zoom chat. Are there any opposed? Looks like we have a unanimous vote. Congratulations. All those in favor of electing Carrie Hamill as president-elect nominee, please say aye, or put aye in chat. Woo! Are there any nays? I don't see or hear any nays. Congratulations, Carrie, it's unanimous. Thank you for participating in our annual meeting, and congratulations to our directors and president-elect nominee. This annual meeting is closed. I'd like to call up Ruth Strupp, a chef extraordinaire and founder of Chez Nous. Oh, there's Ruth. Ruth's going to give us an update on the Rotary Foundation.
Fellow Rotarians, I applaud you for your generosity. We've received almost $80,000 in donations to the Rotary Foundation so far this year, but we've received that from about 50 people in a club of 250 people. And I'd like to challenge you all to flip the 80-20 rule and have 80% of the people participate instead of 20% of the people. President Joe is asking you to contribute just $25 if money is tight, and to consider contributing at the Paul Harris Fellow level of $1,000. Anything in between is greatly appreciated. Past President Shannon has offered a generous match of dollar-for-dollar points. So, for instance, if you give $100, she'll get 100 points. This will move you towards the Paul Harris Fellow level of $1,000/points and make you a member of an elite group of Rotarians who really make service matter. Today, I'd like to recognize Bill Swartz. He's a new member, and he's participating in volunteer activities, and from day one, in his first year, he's contributed to $1,000 to become a Paul Harris Fellow. Many of our new members are not in the position to do that, and many of them are. If you have any questions about how to donate, if you have any questions about why to donate, how to donate, once this Rotary party that in catering is over, then I'll be available by email and by phone, and I'm super happy to help you. Have a very happy new year, and I hope that everyone will find a way to support Rotary in whatever is most meaningful to you this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Now I'd like to call up Bob Lee. Bob runs CMIT Solutions of Oakland, a local IT service company focused on managed services, which can be viewed as preventive medicine for your IT. Bob has some information on a service project.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the great introduction, Coach Joe, President Joe. So yes, I am here to announce a really special event that I'm lucky to be part of this Saturday, and that is the St. Vincent de Paul annual holiday party, which you may have gotten some emails about. So it's a big event. I was just told earlier today that it's a family event, but it is going to have 700 children, so you can just imagine how many in total will be there. And thanks to those of you who have already signed up to volunteer, but we actually need more volunteers. And we're going to make it easy for you if you want to volunteer. So first of all, even though it's an all-day event, you only have to volunteer for a couple, 3 hours. And we're going to make it easy in that there's no heavy lifting or anything super physical involved. Just show up, and you essentially will be asked to facilitate, provide questions and answers to various things like the raffles or the the giving away of supplies and sundries, food items, et cetera, et cetera. So nothing heavy duty at all, no cleanup, no setup or any of that sort of thing. And so a special bonus would be if you happen to be Spanish speaking, since we expect many of the attendees to be Spanish speaking as well. So that would be a bonus. Let's see, there'll be lots of opportunity to network with fellow Rotarians. If you're interested in joining, also, just wear comfortable fitting clothes. If you have Rotary swag, feel free to wear that. You might be asked to do something outdoors, so make sure you're dressed warm because, as everyone knows, we're in this little cold wave thing. And that's pretty much it. Oh, one last thing. If you're thinking about volunteering or just want some more information, the person you need to speak to is right over there, Catherine Coleman. So anyway, please consider signing up, and I'll look forward to seeing all of you on Saturday.
Thank you, Bob. I've been to this event a number of times. Don't miss it. I'm going to skip over a couple quick things. Is Michael Bruck out there? Michael, do we want to announce the winner of our cookie contest?
Thank you, President Joe. Thank you to all who participated in bringing cookies. They were all great. Our distinguished judges, Linda Bosnicker and Dudley Thompson, have made a decision, and we have a winner, but we don't have a name. So who baked this cookie? It looks like a thumbprint with some jam. Kathleen. Well, congratulations. I'm going to present this cookie to President Joe.
Oh, it's delicious.
And we have two very special prizes for you, which we forgot to bring. So, are you going to be at the party tonight? Yes. All right, we'll present them tonight. You're going to get a very special Oakland Rotary Entertainment Committee apron and a spatula, a brand new spatula, so you can bake even more cookies next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And just quickly, I noticed some birthday cake out there. Must be time to celebrate Rotarians with a December birthday. If your birthday is in December, would you stand up? Oh, Kathleen! Jason, can I ask you to run this hat over to Kathleen? And let's all sing happy birthday to Kathleen Uribe. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kathleen. Happy birthday to you. Yay. And now please welcome C.J. Hirschfield, retired nonprofit executive. She's going to introduce our fabulous program.
Thank you. Thank you, Coach. So I have recommended this book, this new memoir, A Real Emergency, Stories from the Ambulance, to many friends. How can a book be shocking, soulful, and funny all at the same time? Here's what native Oaklander Joanna Sokol says about her objective. I want to describe how impossible it seems to maintain hope underneath the never-ending crush of heartbreak and corruption, and somehow my patients and co-workers manage to do it anyway. I hope I have conveyed that our work can be boring, frustrating, and exhausting, but also punctuated with tremendous humanity and joy. So here to serve as our moderator today is John Carroll, the award-winning writer and longtime columnist at the San Francisco Chronicle. Welcome to you both.
Take these. Know that you're welcome. You can, if you trip, I'm got you. I'm sorry. You're sure? No, I didn't say I was sure. I just.
Off the clock.
There we go.
Hello, Joe.
Hello, John.
So when I came in, what's it?
Hello?
Um,
I'm loud. I can just yell.
yeah, I am too. When I came in this morning, you mentioned that you had a connection with Oakland Rotary. Want to tell us about it?
I'd love to.
Thank you.
So I grew up in Oakland, and from, I'm going to say age 6 to about 19, every summer, all summer, I attended, volunteered at, worked at, and eventually directed a summer camp called Touch the Earth. Oh, it is the best! Touch the Earth, it's up in the Redwoods behind Oakland, and it is run by a little old place called the Rotary Nature Center, which I am told, my understanding is that Rotary Nature Center is run by the city of Oakland now, but was founded by the Rotary Club, oh, there we go. Should I start over, or could you hear? Yeah, so my understanding is that it was actually founded by the Rotary Club, and this was just such a huge part of my childhood and where I grew up. I went there as a kid. I learned so much. I was a counselor in training, and then a counselor, and then I directed the whole summer camp when I was 18, which was way too much responsibility for an 18-year-old, as it turned out. But since I was a little kid, I've associated the word Rotary with general do-goodery in Oakland. And so when I was invited to come here, I got really excited, and I was like, wait, is that the same Rotary? So this means a lot to me. This is really exciting.
So you never worked in an ambulance in Oakland, as I understand it, but you knew a lot of people who did. Can you talk a little bit about the ambulance service in Oakland?
Yeah, absolutely. I almost worked in Oakland a few different times, but I got swooped up by San Francisco. Most of my work as a 911 medic was in Santa Cruz, Santa Clara, Reno, Nevada, and San Francisco. But as you can imagine, a lot of my friends worked in Oakland. There's a lot of crossover and a lot of conversation. So the ambulance system, the 911 contract in Oakland is held by a private company called Falck. And I know there's a lot of business owners here. There might be somebody that has worked with Falck or is associated with them somehow. But one thing that I realized a lot of people didn't know until I wrote my book is just the differences between how some ambulance services are run by fire departments, some of them are run by cities or hospitals, some of them are privately owned, and a lot of people don't actually realize what's happening in their own communities. And so John and I talked about how we could talk about Oakland and ambulances here. You'll see some private vans with company names like NorCal or Royal sort of driving around. Those are what we call inter-facility transfers. So those are picking folks up from the nursing home, taking them to dialysis, taking them home on hospice, doing transfers. But all of the 911 in Oakland and in all of Alameda County is run by one private company called Falck.
And in general, how is the private company ambulance thing going?
It's tough. It is not great. Ambulance services, like the rest of emergency healthcare in the US, are in a really, really tough spot right now. We are deeply understaffed. We're very overworked. We're not always able to get to calls on time. We don't have the resources that we need to actually help the people in the ways that we want to. And I've talked about that a lot, and my book talks about it a lot, and I've talked about all the ways that ambulances kind of live in this weird gray area where we're not considered a true critical public safety need the way that fire and police are. So we're not funded the same way as fire and police. We're funded privately usually, but the hospitals don't really see us as part of the clinical chain of care either. So we're also not given a lot of the respect and clinical care that hospitals get. We're kind of out on our own in this weird gray area. And the private companies in particular are really, really hard to work for. They really, really wreck their paramedics. They're not able to get people to calls on time. And
As medics, we usually get mad at our bosses about that, right? We're like, rawr, it's because they're evil, bad, greedy capitalists, and they're working us to the bone, and it's all their fault. And when I'm sitting here talking to a group of business owners and folks that have financial and economic backgrounds, the tone of that changes a little bit, because you guys, many of the people here, you guys have actually run businesses. You've done numbers. And the problem isn't actually that the owners of Falck are like evil, soulless people. That's not the problem. I wish it was, because that would be like simpler for me ethically. But the problem is that there's no profits in running ambulances. When you run a 911 call, you don't have to pay up front. We don't take credit cards before we help you, right? You get a bill later in the mail, and most people do not pay their bill. I don't know what Falck's collection rates are. I kind of wish I did right now, but it's very, very normal for ambulance companies to get like 20 or 30% collection rates. 50 is considered really good. And one of the guys I interviewed for my book, who was actually there when AMR was getting built, he's been in the industry for 50 years, amazing guy, Dan Quino, he said that your collection rates, when they were all starting new ambulance companies in the 70s, he said your collection rates really depended on how big of a jerk you are. But he didn't use the word jerk. And so it's actually really, really hard to get enough money to properly run an ambulance company, because in Santa Cruz County, for example, the county doesn't give $0 to ambulance. It's 100% privately funded. Some places there's a little bit of subsidy or grants, but you cannot make enough money running 911 calls to actually pay for enough employees. It's just the math doesn't work. And so they end up cutting corners where they can, because they have to. And that comes out of EMT and medic wages. It comes out of having enough staff to safely run calls. It comes out of our training budget and our equipment budget. So most ambulance companies, if any of you have ever worked at or ran a restaurant that was like, never had enough staff, never had enough equipment, everything was always kind of falling apart, you could barely make enough money to get it to work, and it was just held on with like duct tape and a prayer, that's how most private ambulance companies are held together. And everybody thinks that when they call 911, the ambulance will be there. You know, everybody wants us to be there in their moment of need, and we do. We try so hard to be there, but nobody can agree on how to fund it and how to pay for it. And so it puts us in a really tough spot as paramedics. I love taking care of patients, I really do. But when I'm on my 15th hour of a 12-hour shift and I haven't stopped yet, and I haven't gotten to retrain on my stuff, and I'm running out of equipment, and there's 6 calls pending at the same time, and I'm running around trying to get to one, you're not gonna get my A game, you know? I'm not gonna be able to give you the best care possible. I'm gonna try, but I'm gonna be real tired. And that's when things fall through the cracks, and it's really tough. That's one of the ways that that the system is challenging right now.
And the thing about that is that paramedics and ambulance people have encountered the very worst of people in terrible situations that they could help, situations that they could not help. And the first person who sees them, the person who they depend on the most, is the ambulance service. And yet, what are your wages like?
I did actually look up Falck starting wages this morning. For EMT is $26 an hour, and for medics is $38. And that's considered pretty good, statewide and nationally. It's not actually my intention to come here and just crap on Falck, because all the private companies are around that range. I want to say national paramedic median wage is like in the 20s. And part of that is because we don't go to nearly as much school as nurses and doctors. Paramedics have gone to about 3 years of school, EMTs less than that, and nurses go to 3 or 4, doctors go to 1 million. And so it's easier for them to charge higher wages. But it's also just because of the nature of the beast. A lot of people go into this work because we want to help people, and we're adrenaline junkies, and we have a hard time sitting still, and we want to get out there and get our hands dirty. And then you get into the realities of the work. And you mentioned that we're going to people who are in tough situations, who are having bad days, right? And People, when I tell people I'm a medic, they're always like, oh, that must be so gnarly, that must be so hard. And I try to explain that it is hard, but it's not hard for the reasons that you think it's hard. I actually really like dealing with people who are in emergencies. I have a skill set that I like to use. I'm good at calming people down when they're really upset. When somebody is on the edge of life and death, I actually really like getting in there and doing what I can to help. That's not what makes the job hard. What makes the job hard is all this logistical crap that I was telling you. It's the fact that you're getting held over late, you're not getting enough money, you're waiting at the hospital for hours to be seen before you get a bed, you know, while your patient's sick, and the nurses won't make eye contact with you because they're having a bad day because they're busy. Those are the things that make the job hard.
Let me interrupt you to say, because most people don't know this, ambulance drivers are required to wait with the bed in the hospital, sometimes for hours. They could be out there like saving people and stuff, but they're standing by a bed waiting for their patient to be admitted to the hospital, right?
Yeah. So one of the things, we have to tell some like fun stories in a minute because I don't want this to be all doom and gloom.
Okay.
I'm getting a lot of looks from the crowd that are like,
Tell me a fun story.
But real quick, there's a phrase, anyone in EMS is familiar with the phrase triage delay or wall time. And a lot of people not in EMS always give me this look like, oh, what's that? And in the movies, when an ambulance comes into the hospital, we come in the ER doors and the doctor is like waiting for us and is like, what do you got? And we say, oh, you know, this is Mr. So-and-so, his blood pressure is this, his heart rate's that. And then we get swooped into a room, we drop off the patient, we turn around and go back to work, right? That's how everybody pictures it happening. And that does happen sometimes. If we have a patient who is like actively dying a lot really fast, right? Those patients will usually get swooped into a room. But if we have somebody who's a little bit more stable, you know, they need a hospital bed, they're sick, but they're not like bleeding out in front of me, we go into the hospital and the nurse says, hey, we don't have any beds, grab a wall. And we say, okay. And then the nurse walks away. And then what we do is we literally physically push the gurney up against a wall. That's what grab a wall means. And then we wait for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 3 hours. My personal record, I think, is in the 4-hour range. And the whole time that we're sitting there, it's a fully staffed, fully stocked ambulance that's just stuck on the wall of the hospital waiting for the nurses to have time to deal with us. And it's this kind of like unwritten agreement that we're going to do that for the hospitals. We're not allowed to just tip our gurney and dump the patient on the floor and walk away. We have to wait for the hospital to give us a bed. And so the whole time that we're doing that, that's one less ambulance that's out on the street. It's actually able to help people.
So you want to tell a fun story?
Yeah, you know,
fun ambulance work?
I felt a lot of pressure coming here today because I care so much about this community. I grew up in Oakland. I really love it here. And I felt like I had this opportunity to talk to some of the like business owners and movers and shakers. And I feel like if I tell the right anecdote or I'm like cute and charming enough, then maybe you guys will buy my book and will like fix the EMS system in Oakland. Right? I think I changed my shirt 5 times because I was like, if I wear the right shirt, then maybe somebody important will tell the mayor to fix the ambulances. But I want you guys to see the human in the work and to know how much joy there is in this work too. Because it's not that I don't like the work. I actually really love the work. It's so fun. You know, one of the first stories in the book, my partner and I, we're actually working in Nevada, so it's like 175 degrees. It's the middle of summer. We're exhausted. We're just getting our butts kicked, right? Every single call, it's just like tragedy, pain, heartache, death, tragedy. And we're parked outside this like really tough call we just ran. We're sweating in the heat. We're trying to finish our paperwork. Dispatch is hassling us. And I hear this like tinkling music. And I look outside the ambulance and there's a guy in the middle of like a weird empty industrial neighborhood in Reno. There's a guy with a shave ice cart with little bells like tinkling along and playing some Hawaiian music. And I was like, what? And there weren't any calls pending, but dispatch was yelling at us to do our paperwork faster. And I was like, you know what? No, we're tired. We haven't had a meal break ever, because that's not a thing that we get. We haven't used the bathroom all day. I'm buying us some freaking shave ice. And I got out of the ambulance, and it was $4 a cone. and I bought Hawaiian shave ice from this guy, and I brought it back to the ambulance. And me and my partner, we sat on the tailgate with like sticky shave ice melting down our fingers, and we looked at each other, and it was beautiful. It was so fun, and we trusted each other, and we had joy in that moment. And you have these beautiful moments of joy in the midst of all the pain. You know, you see the world, and you appreciate being alive. I've had patients walk me around to the backyard to pick a peach off their tree, you know, to eat a peach as like a gift for helping. I've had patients say the most hilarious stuff in the middle of like a totally messed up call, to where me and my partner were just doubled over laughing, like to where we couldn't get the IV because we were laughing too hard because the patient was being hilarious and we're all laughing together, you know. There's moments of incredible joy and silliness inside of this completely twisted, broken system. And I just want you guys to know about that side too.
So, do you have one suggestion to improve the system, or two, you know, three?
Right? Yeah, that's a quick and easy one. This is a question I've thought about a lot, especially since the book came out. I think in economics they call it a wicked problem. I believe that's the phrase for a problem that's really multifaceted. It's been going on a long time. One of the things I did in the book is I interviewed a bunch of colleagues and friends, and I did a lot of research about ambulances like throughout different eras. Oh, I kind of want to tell the Freedom House story. Okay, we'll get there.
Well, we could just jump.
No, we're gonna
Okay.
talk about some improvements. And these are things that ambulances have been struggling with for hundreds of years, right? One of the first ambulance companies, the first municipal ambulance service ever in the US was in the 1850s. This is like the horse and buggy days, right? Horses eating oats and a little potbelly stove. And they were trying to figure out how they were gonna fund it. And 3 weeks after they'd been in service, they got in a fight with the local cops because the cops were calling them too much to come pick up drunks and weren't paying their bills instead of letting them go run on quote unquote real emergencies. You know, these are problems we've been struggling with the whole time, and so there's not a quick solution. I do not have a 10-second soundbite on how to like fix EMS. I really wish I did. But one thing that I think is really helpful is just to recognize that EMS exists. I know that sounds silly, but I think it's something that people really take for granted, that the ambulance will be there when they need it. And when I first said that we're not funded or respected as a public safety service the same way that fire and police were, I saw some faces being like, oh, what? And it's true, people don't think of it. Fire and police are these like critical government services that everybody agrees that we need. And everyone agrees we need ambulances, but no one can agree on how to fund it or how exactly it should be run. There's 100 different ambulance models. Sometimes they're run by, I think I mentioned this, sometimes fire departments, sometimes private companies, sometimes municipal, volunteer, rescue corps, public health. And I just want to get people thinking about it and talking about it. I want people to be aware of how the ambulances work in their communities, because it's going to be different for different communities. Oakland has really different 911 needs than like a tiny rural town in Northern California. But I want people to start to think about ambulance services as an essential service and start to try to figure out how we can work together to get better ways. I just want people to be aware of it.
Okay.
Of course.
What?
Okay.
She's going to tell that story quickly, Joanna.
Cool.
Do it.
I swear I was looking at Frank. You're going to do an interpretive dance while I tell the story. No, it's just one of my favorite stories from history. There's a Freedom House ambulance, one of the first advanced paramedic services in the United States. There were ambulances running around that had attendants and drivers, but they didn't have any medical training. One of the first ways that we actually got medical training was late 60s, early 70s on the wrong side of town in Pittsburgh. It was an all-black ambulance service called Freedom House Ambulance. There was the community had been really destroyed by redlining in the 50s. There weren't any jobs, and there was a Job Corps program that worked together with a local doctor, the guy who actually more or less invented CPR. He wanted to prove that he could teach CPR techniques to lay people, and they wanted to get jobs for their community, so they put together this ambulance company called Freedom House Ambulance. It was all black. They put the guys through really, really rigorous paramedic training in the hospital, hundreds of hours. They learned cardiology, they learned intubation, they learned IV starts, and they went out into the community, and they actually became so well respected that they, after a few months of service, they had white people calling from the fancy neighborhoods asking for the Negro ambulance because they had heard that they provided such a higher level of care than the police ambulances and the private companies that went to the white neighborhoods. And they were around, they were successful for 8 or 9 years. Like all ambulance companies, and I love telling this story because it's such a microcosm of so many different issues, they really struggled with funding because they were going mostly to the poor areas and the black areas. Nobody could afford to pay their bills. And the local police departments and governments didn't want to support them because A, nobody liked paying for the ambulance anyways, and B, they were all black, and they were really offended that these black kids from the Hill neighborhood had the gall to try to be better than the white police ambulances. And so they ran successfully for 9 or 10 years. They developed what we now know as the modern paramedic curriculum, and then eventually the incredibly racist local police department actually took them over and shut them down. It's a really tough ending to the story, and they were kind of lost to history, but that curriculum they developed for those paramedics was actually accepted as the national standard curriculum that we still follow.
Yes, I have a question online, and that is from Michelle Himmelberg. She says, I see the fire department reporting to emergency calls in my neighborhood. Why do they come versus an ambulance, and do you have to ask for an ambulance specifically if you call 911?
That is a great question. It is a bit of a can of worms. The short version of the story, late 70s, early 80s, there were way less fires. Building materials got way better. So you had a lot of fire departments that didn't have nearly as many calls to run. And they were thinking they were just about to lose their funding and they were freaked out. Meanwhile, the ambulances were just as haggard and understaffed and overworked as they had always been. They were trying to get to calls on time. So they struck a deal that the fire departments would get basic CPR and first aid training. They would go to the call first, and then the ambulances would get there when they could. And so the idea was that the fire departments would go to calls, they'd have a little bit more work to do, and they could go get there first and they could start CPR, they could start care while they were waiting for the ambulance. And then what happened is that just got adopted because it allowed the ambulance companies to keep their staffing lower than they would otherwise have to, and it gave the fire departments more work and more funding. And so it's become the standard in most American cities that when you call 911, the fire department shows up first, they start the assessment, and then the ambulance gets there as soon as they can. And so all firefighters now, at least in the Bay Area, have at least an EMT cert. Many of them are paramedics too. It's a really complicated and tricky puzzle, though, that is a much longer answer than I'm sure I have time for. There is some explanation of it in the book if you feel like reading more, because it's difficult. It helps fix some problems, but it's created other problems. More questions?
Oh,
More
really?
questions?
I had
Are we
one.
getting killed?
All right. Well, let's put the kibosh on the questions.
So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you guys so much.
Can I say one thing?
Please, John, go ahead.
This book is a perfect Christmas present. Absolutely.
And there are
there are people on your list, you don't know what to buy. This is the book because it's funny
and
also useful.
And there are plenty on the back table. Joanna and John, as a thank you for your fabulous presentation today, I want you to know we make a donation to Polio Plus. It's our signature project to eradicate polio from the world. Over the last 3.5 decades, we've reduced reported polio cases 99.9%. We're this close.
This close.
How close are we? We're this close. And I also have a couple Rotary 4-way test coins for you that I'll wander over and give them to you. So thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
I'd like to ring the bell twice. Once for Greg, Patricia, and Ed, our new directors. And I'd like to also ring the bell for our president for 2027, 2028, Carrie Hamill. Kathleen Uribe rings the bell. Yes? Wes?
I got a mic. Hold on. You're you know.
I'd like to ring the bell twice, President Joe, one for Pam Clausen for her contributions and her skillful work as a treasurer. Shannon can verify that. So appreciate that very much, Pam. And I want to ring the bell for Joanne Slocall. I've got two grandsons who worked on an ambulance in their training as firemen. And I would just thank you for your service to humans and to people in need.
Thank you.
Hold on. We got more. Gary's coming.
Gary Flaxman.
All right, I also want to ring the bell. I want to thank you for a wonderful presentation. I want to also mention that former Rotarian Romeo Garcia is just recovering from open heart surgery, and the ambulatory care saved his life, so thank you very much for that. And I just want to ask one question. So I have two past projects where one was a mentee, and he's very interested in being EMT, and the other is a former incarcerated from our ceasefire project. Do you guys hire, and is that something that I can refer them to you?
You know, Gary, I think I'm going to let you. We're running short on time.
Totally. Hold on, here we go. Hold on, I got one right here. Hold on, Julie Fox got the light up, so I'm just working out my knee.
So Gary, check with Joanne afterwards. Gary, Julie?
Yeah, it's on.
Hello?
Hello. Just go ahead and talk, Julie. Put it right there.
Oh, wait, stop it.
Why are you moving?
Because you're putting it down my throat. President Joe, I would like to ring the bell once in honor of both Wendy Howard and Carrie Hamill. They covered for me while I was having a really fun time in Italy. So thank you, ladies. Okay.
Thank you. So three quick things. You'll find a QR code on your table. We had our Feed the Hungry donations last meeting. If you missed it and want to join us, increase our 36,000 to 40,000. Now's the time to do it, and we'll also reach out again at next meeting. Our holiday party is tonight. I hope you're going to join us. And on December 20th, MAC is organizing a outing to the Nutcrackers, so keep that on your calendar. And with that,
Next week's speaker.
I was going to ask David Stein of Council with Donahue Fitzgerald to announce our speaker for next week.
Our speaker next week is Mitchell Schwartzer. He is the author of Hellatown, Oakland's History of Development and Disruption. Mitchell is an urban and architectural historian and professor emeritus at the California College of Arts. He's got a master's in city planning from Harvard, a PhD in architectural history, theory, and criticism for MIT. He's going to talk to us about Oakland's pride in its progressive politics, and to what extent did the grandiose plans of prior century, freeways, BART, urban renewal lead to a distrust of public and private partnerships? Can we become a city where the word progressive equates with progress? This next week, Hellatown, Oakland's History of Development.
Thank you, David. And I leave you with happy holidays. Oakland Rotary is on the run. I adjourn this meeting.